I'll give everybody a minute to kind of filter in here. Let the audience build a little bit. It won't take too long, I promise. Those of you already in here, hit the like button. It'll help get the video suggested more, help the audience grow even faster. Greatly appreciate it. I always try to remind everybody because it actually surprises me when I go to a live show and the host isn't reminding people to hit the like button. And it's not because you want a pat on the shoulder. That's not what the like button means. It just means you're helping the video grow. That's it. So if you do that, I would greatly appreciate that. It helps a lot. Let's see here. By the way, we now have 76 mini helmets. 76. The new. You know what? We got a little bit of time. Hold on. The newest entry. And this was sent by Gabe G. Auburn. It surprised me that Auburn took a while to get represented, but Auburn is officially represented. There you go, Auburn mini helmet. Let me put it back. Oh, by the way, we officially have the funds to expand the studio. We're going to stretch the shelving all the way to the edge of that door. And yes, we will get the famous bow in the shelvings fixed. But you know what? That's become famous. Should I get it fixed? Yeah, I should. It's famous for the wrong reasons, so we're not going to keep it. Anyways, so we found something out today. Yes, you already know it's about the Pac-12. They had a meeting yesterday, and I'm getting mixed responses, mixed information about it. On one end, I'm hearing it went terrible, about as bad as it can get. There's no deal on the table. They are for sure wanting to go 100% streaming, and the schools are not happy about it. The numbers not good. In fact, give me 1 second. I think it was Jason Shears that said, you know what? Yes, Pac-12 presidents have 100% been presented with the numbers, and they aren't close to good enough. That's what I'm hearing. The numbers were presented yesterday, and they weren't even close enough. Here's the funny thing. I've been making videos about, Colorado, Arizona State, Utah, the Four Corners, talking to the Big 12. And we know that Utah came out and said, no, we're not going. We're not going. Our academics would suffer way too much. And it's because of the affiliation with Stanford and Cal, which that's fine. I can understand that. But people were saying, well, Utah wasn't even talking to them. All right. Well, I really didn't have any concrete proof that they were talking. And they're like, well, while we're at it, Arizona State wasn't talking to the Big 12. Arizona wasn't, and Colorado wasn't. Well, now we have proof that at least Arizona was for sure. Now, I think these other teams were talking to the Big 12. But as far as concrete, irrefutable evidence that they've been talking, University of Arizona president had an interview, and there was one line that he said in there that's proof, for real, for sure proof. And the line was, I tell Brett all the time, as in Brett Yormark, as in they talk all the time. I tell Brett all the time. And he was explaining a situation to where a lot of people think that Arizona has already made the decision. That part's not true. Okay? They will make a decision after the numbers are released. And what did I just say? Jason Shears saying the numbers were released and they weren't even close to being good enough. And we're not, listen, Arizona is not going to leave the Pac-12 and join the Big 12 for a couple million discrepancy. He even said so. Robbins, the president of University of Arizona, he even said that we're not leaving the Big 12 for a couple million less, if we're making a couple million less. But if that gap gets significant, Arizona will bolt. Now, I made a video on this earlier, but I didn't put it out. This one's not released. So you guys are actually getting a sneak peek into a video that I haven't even done yet. I already shot it, haven't edited it. It's going to come out tomorrow. So what I'm about to talk about, the article that I'm going to read, the interview that I'm going to read, the video is not out yet. So this is a sneak peek into tomorrow's video. By the way, if anybody has a question, a comment, or you like to correct me, or you like to make fun of me, or there's something that you want to point out that you want everybody to see, and it's a great way to support the channel, which, by the way, no, this was not planned and scripted, but this was great timing. Just like Swabby Guns, hit that super chat button. Appreciate the $2 donation, buddy. And he says, smash that like button, folks. Yes, the like button really does help. And a lot of people was like, well, hitting the like button, that's just stroking his ego. That's just patting him on the back. No, that's not what the like button's about. The like button is telling YouTube, we like this video, get it suggested to other people. That way we can get more people in here. So, yes, I agree with Swabby. It would greatly help the video. Even if you're watching a replay of this, you weren't able to catch it live, please hit the like button. It helps these videos a lot. And just like Swabby did, hit the super chat button for a question, a comment, troll attempt, correction. You want to point out something, and you want everybody to see it, and you want me to address it. That's the best way to do it. And it supports the channel. Not going to lie, we greatly appreciate those donations, especially in the off season. Golden Blooded had a pretty good February, March, but the donations still help, so we greatly appreciate it. All right, let's talk about the video that I've already shot, but it's not out yet. That's what we're talking about tonight, all right? So, some of this was a month ago, what he said. Some of this was a couple of weeks ago, and some of this was more recently. So, this first part that I'm about to read, I think this was the one that was a couple of months ago. All right, so this is from the Arizona President Robbins. It says, there's a lot of disinformation. For instance, that Arizona is going to the Big 12. He says, we're not going to the Big 12. That seems pretty cut and dry, right? We're not going to the Big 12. Seems like he's just saying we're not going to the Big 12, right? He goes on to say, we want to see what the deal is here in the Pac-12 because we are all, including Arizona State, and all the other schools, want to keep the Conference of Champions together. So at the beginning, we're not going to the Big 12. But then he goes on to explain, we want to see what the deal is here. So he leaves the door open. And this was a couple months ago, right? Not more recently. So back then, he's like, I know there's rumors, but we're not going to the Big 12. We want to see what this deal is, all right? A little bit later on, I think this was a week or so after that, where we're locking arms, waiting for the commissioner to do the best that he can to get us the best media deal possible. So, showing confidence in the commissioner. We have a good confidence. He's going to give us a good deal. So, we're going to wait and see what that deal is. And we're not leaving the Big 12 before that. We will not leave for the Big 12 before we see that TV deal. He said, I put it at greater than 95% chance that we're going to get a great deal. Wait a minute. He didn't say, I put it at greater than 95% chance that we're staying. He said, I put it at greater than 95% chance we're going to get a great deal. Focused on the deal. He is telling everybody, that's what's going to decide this. I have faith that we're going to get it. We're going to get a great deal. I have faith. 95%. 95%. Greater than 95%. But not 100% that we're going to get a good deal. All right? We're all going to be happy, and the Conference of Champions will stay together. Then more recently, it's heavily, a little bit stronger language there. It's heavily dependent on Commissioner George Kliavkoff and his team negotiating a good media deal for us to stay together. I don't think anybody wants to leave. Would you move for a couple $1 million a year more? That's what I was speaking about earlier. So the closer we get to, this is not looking good, the stronger his language gets. It's heavily dependent on Commissioner George Kliavkoff and his team negotiating a good media deal for us to stay. That last part of the sentence, for us to stay, for us to stay, for us to stay together. Wow, that's getting serious. And this is whenever he mentions that they've been talking. I tell Brett all the time, they've been talking. It's official. And I've got really good friends over the years who are presidents now in the Big 12 schools. I love you guys, but if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't expect any of you to leave the Big 12 if you didn't know what deal you were getting there. He says, I wouldn't expect you to leave the Big 12 if you didn't know what deal you were getting there. In other words, he was saying Arizona is not going to make a decision until we see the media deal. And when asked about the Pac-12's potential demise, he says, we've got to see the deal. That's his answer. We've got to see the deal we're getting. And then I'll be able to make an informed decision. The further along we get into this, the stronger the language he uses. And the more he's less vague about things. He gets more precise about things. He says, and then I'll be able to make an informed decision. So this is after things have started to spiral, and it looks like ESPN's backing out, and Fox has certainly backed out by this time. He does sort of still back up the commissioner, says, until then, it's all speculation, and I make it clear on my video, speculation zone, and people fear-mongering, that's a little ridiculous. But anyways, and saying you don't want to be the last because there might not be a seat for you. Well, I'm not buying that. I haven't seen anybody else jump and run. Did you miss whenever USC and UCLA went to the Big Ten? Okay. It'd be a problem if enough people did, obviously, and that's what Brett and the Big 12 are banking on. If you can get Arizona and Colorado to say it, whoa, why did he? If you can get Arizona and Colorado to say yes, why did he single out Colorado and Arizona? He didn't say, any other teams or the Four Corners or Oregon and Washington. If Oregon and Washington leave, it's all over. Or if the Big Ten gets Stanford and Cal, he says, if you can get Arizona and Colorado to say yes, then the whole Pac-12, what's left of it, blows up. He didn't say could blow up. If you can get Arizona and Colorado to say yes, then the whole Pac-12, what's left of it, blows up. Whoa. Strong language there. Strong language. And then the update on ESPN. So a couple of days ago, I made a video on how ESPN said that they're not even close to a deal with the Pac-12. Well, today, the Swamp Show put out the ESPN deal is now off the table for the Pac-12. And what have I been telling you? There was a deal on the table, and the Pac-12 didn't like it. And the deal that I was hearing about was $280 million for 10 teams. So they would be getting $28 million per team per year. But that's without expansion. If they wanted to expand, they'd have to give up some of that, and they would make even less. But if they would have taken that deal and stayed at 10, that's close enough to where I think it stays together. But apparently they turned that deal down, and now that deal is off the table. So Apple may be the Pac-12's last hope, and of course that means subscription only. Think about that. That's actually the light way to say that. If you really think about it, that's almost in way of pay-per-view. I know you're not really, pay-per-view because you're literally paying every time you view something, but it's a monthly subscription. So it's a pay per month, if you will. How about that? Says, so less money and no exposure. And this is all on Kliavkoff, but also on Pac-12 presidents, ADs, and fans for believing him. That is not good for the Pac-12 at all. And of course, Jason Scheer, when these rumors that Fox was getting back into the game of trying to get a deal with Pac-12, because we heard months and months ago that Fox had backed out. But all of a sudden, whenever things were getting really, really dicey, and we heard that ESPN and the Pac-12 weren't close to having a deal, and now ESPN has all of a sudden backed out because the Pac-12 turned down a bad deal. I don't really blame the Pac-12 for turning it down, but the deal was on the table. They turned it down, ESPN polls, but now all of a sudden Fox is interested. Well, Jason Shear says, sources tell me there's currently no sub-license talk between Fox and Apple or Amazon. In other words, Fox is not interested in Tier 2 rights or Tier 3 rights. And the biggest thing, the loudest thing that you can hear over everything is the silence of George Kliavkoff. He is leaving it up to his presidents. He is leaving it up to Board of Regents. He is leaving it up to athletic directors to defend the Pac-12. He is not saying anything. He is not giving any hope to the Pac-12 fans. What is this guy doing? What is this guy doing? I don't know. If I was a fan of a team in the Pac-12, I would be absolutely furious with George Kliavkoff. Furious. Pac-12 fans, and by saying this, I am not jumping on to Pac-12 fans. I am not criticizing Pac-12 fans. No, in fact, I'm giving them their kudos. Like they're really staying behind this guy. But Pac-12 fans, they're having to defend him, and he's saying nothing. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that. But the problem is, it's not a good situation, and he doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know what to do. Like, oh, well, the update is things aren't looking good, guys. But keep the faith. I think we'll pull through this, But I just don't understand it because and the presidents are trying. They're trying to support this commissioner. They are. I mean, even with the Arizona president, even though he said he's been talking to the Big 12, and they want to wait until they see the TV deal, they still have confidence that George Kliavkoff can get them a good deal. So that tells me, number one, they didn't know what the deal looked like at the time. Number two, that George Kliavkoff was telling them, I still got you. We got this, guys. We got plenty of bidders. Plenty of bidders, all right? So we got this. Don't worry about it. Y'all, I know you're talking to the Big 12. That's fine. Keep your options open. But I'm telling you right now, don't make any decisions until you see this TV deal. Wait till you see this deal. Wait till you see this deal, guys. You're going to be happy that you didn't make any decisions. Swabby Guns, thank you for the $2 donation, says, enough Pepsi and GBD. Coke is the soda of the South. Yeah, but short story. So when I was 23, I started working weekends for Pepsi, right? And they liked the job that I did. And they got me into the full-time slot. And I worked for Pepsi for, I think it was 4.5 years, something like that. And the only reason that I couldn't work there anymore is because my insurance was too high. It was a bunch of, I don't want to go into it. It was a bunch of BS. It was basically because of insurance. I was on Remicade at the time, and it was $1,800 every 6 weeks. And their insurance company was mad. Okay, so you see the writing on the wall. That was the real reason. But anyways, so I worked at Pepsi for 4.5 years, and of course you get free Pepsi when you're there. Not like all you can drink Pepsi, but there's credits that you take out of the back whenever it's damaged and all that stuff, and you basically get a lot of free Pepsi. Okay, and yeah, that's what happened. I worked for Pepsi, and that's how I got my and I'm just gonna say it, addiction to Pepsi. I'm addicted to Pepsi. I admit it. It is what it is. And every time I drink a Coke, I can handle it, but it's not even close to being the same. I can't actually use my money to buy Coke. I can't do it. Sorry, I can't do it. Unless there's no other option at a restaurant and I drink it and I tolerate it, that's it. I mean, it is what it is. Anyways, all right, so what we're seeing with Pac-12 is we're seeing a commissioner that knows what's going on and is scared to death to say anything because all there is bad news to say. And we're not hearing anything from him. Instead, we're hearing a lot of presidents and athletic directors, representatives of these universities come out and say, we got faith in this guy. He promised us a good deal. We have faith in this guy. We're going to stick behind him. We're not going to make any decisions until we see this TV deal. Is anybody confident that listen to what I'm actually asking? I'm not asking if you think the Pac-12 will survive, because I even think that the Pac-12 survives because I think they backfill. It's not going to survive as we know it. They're going to backfill. Pac-12 as a conference, as the label, the Pac-12, it will survive. What I am asking is, does anybody truly think that the Pac-12 is going to get a good TV deal and that nobody is going to leave? I don't think so. I think best case scenario, only Colorado and Arizona leave this go-around. Leave this go-around. And that's best case scenario. Now, it could be that he gets a good enough TV deal. Pac-12 is not going to get a good TV deal, but they could get a good enough TV deal to where these universities stay. That could happen. I'm not ruling that out. It could happen. It could. But and I've said this multiple videos. Every day that passes, that we hear nothing from the Pac-12 is another bad day from the Pac-12. Because the old saying is no news is good news. Well, in the Pac-12's case, no news from the Pac-12 is actually bad news. They are staring squarely at a streaming-only deal. And if you ask me, if this would have happened a decade from now, like 2033, this might actually be a good deal. Because I do think that the future of the college football viewership is streaming. So 10 years from now, this might actually be a really good idea, a really good deal. But right now, it's not. Right now, the vast majority of viewership for college football is through linear cable. It is what it is. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. Now, having said that, ESPN is in some major financial trouble. Not just ESPN, but all of the companies that they're associated with. Disney, Lucasfilm, Marvel's, all that stuff. Everything under the branch of ESPN and Disney, they're all in financial trouble, and they're laying some employees off. They're straight up firing people. And the article that we saw about ESPN was nobody's safe. Not even the almighty Stephen A. Smith. You never know. He could get fired. So they're in a financial situation that's not looking good. But they already have the deal with the SEC and the second tier with the Big 12. They really can't afford to shell out more money for the Pac-12. But what they could do is, let's say the Pac-12 falls apart and the Big 12 can grab a big chunk of the Pac-12. And maybe perhaps, this is stretching a bit, but maybe perhaps if Oregon and Washington just really don't want to join the Big 12 and the Big 10 is still not interested, then maybe they could entertain the idea of joining the ACC. That's a big stretch. I'm not predicting that. I think the chance of that happening is less than 5%, but you never know. If things happened exactly the way they needed to, you never know. People and universities and whatever do things that you never thought they would do with their backs against the wall. So what ESPN is hoping, and I'm telling you right now, this is what ESPN is hoping for. So they don't have the money to back the Pac-12. They just gave the Pac-12 their best offer, and the Pac-12 was like, you kidding me? We can't do that. We can't do that. We wanted to have a deal with you, but we can't do that. That's too low. So that deal was turned down, and now the deal is pulled. So now ESPN is hoping that the Pac-12 gets picked apart because they still need content for that after dark slot. Okay? And the biggest argument for people saying ESPN needs the Pac-12 was Pac-12 After Dark. Well, they don't need the Pac-12 After Dark. They just need something after dark. So if these teams jump to another conference, except for the Big Ten, because ESPN is not going to have a deal with ESPN after this year. So not the Big Ten, all right, but either the SEC, ACC, or Big 12, then they could get those teams at a discount rate and still have whatever game after dark. Interesting thought. I haven't thought about the Is there any way? Think about this, guys. Is there any way that ESPN could talk the SEC into trying to grab Oregon and Washington? I know that's crazy. It's crazy. Probably not even worth talking about. But when you really think about it, I mean, Oregon and Washington, I mean, the only thing that's really crazy about it is the geography, the stretch. That's the thing that's the most crazy. Everything else actually is like, that's not bad. But it's the geography that throws it way off. I'm not sure if I am not sure if the SEC is interested in being a coast-to-coast conference. We know the Big Ten is. They already are now. And we know the Big 12 is. They want that Pacific time zone. The ACC possibly could be. I don't know. They haven't been really stout on anything. They haven't been firm on anything. But the SEC has been pretty firm about staying in the southeastern part of the United States, right? So what are the chances of ESPN maybe talking to the SEC and be like, listen, Oregon and Washington, they don't want to go to the Big 12. We've tried to talk to them. The ACC, we don't know how that would. I mean, we can talk to the ACC, but we don't know if that would work out. Would you guys consider taking them in, because you guys, at least you guys have teams that are a little more out west than the ACC. At least you guys are a little more out. You know, you have Missouri, now you have Oklahoma, you have Texas, you have Texas A&M. Whereas in the farthest west school for the ACC is what, Louisville. Louisville's the farthest west, and it's not that far west. So, yeah, maybe you guys could take it. What do y'all think? Maybe you guys could take Washington and Oregon for us, and that would give us some after dark content. Listen, you'd only have to play them like once every 10 years or whatever. We keep everybody rotated in and rotated out. And, you know, half the time, whenever you do get to play them once every 10 years, you know, it'll be a home game. So really, it's only once every 20 years that you'll be playing an away game. There's ways to you know, make this work. We all think about that. We really want Oregon and Washington. We don't want them to go to the Big Ten because we don't have a deal with the Big Ten. So we really need you guys to consider that. Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. What did I tell you? Every time I go live, the cats go crazy. They know. My cats have to have my attention. I'm telling you. All right, Pepsi break real quick. Anyways, so ESPN has officially pulled their part of the deal. Not happening, but they still need content for that after dark. So they're going to want the Big 12 to grab a good chunk of the Pac-12, right? If they can't land Oregon and Washington, ESPN would really like it if they could land Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, but also maybe some Pacific time zones that are locked. And I know Arizona is Pacific up until November because they don't have daylight savings time, but maybe ESPN's like, What do you think about Oregon State and Washington State? Listen, the Big 12 would have a little bit of leverage if you really think about it. If ESPN is pulling their deal from the Pac-12, and it looks like the Pac-12 might be looking at a streaming-only deal. If that's the case, then it looks like the Big 12 might actually have a little bit of leverage, not on Fox, but on ESPN. Why? Because ESPN needs leverage, or ESPN needs content for that After Dark slot, right? So they still wouldn't have to spend as much money if they were an actual partner in the Pac-12. That's having to, shell out a chunk of money, but they might have to bump up a little bit of their percentage if the Big 12 added. Fox certainly would have to bump up their percentage because, you can't just add teams and the pie just gets sliced more. And I know in the contract it says $20 million is guaranteed if you add a Power 5 school. But you got to realize that's just the guarantee. That's just the base, all right? That doesn't mean, hey, you add Arizona only gets paid $20 million. If that were the case, the Big 12 would never expand. Same thing with Group of 5. There's no guarantee for Group of 5. And if you held to those terms, like, okay, if we bring in a Group of 5, can't guarantee them anything, and we just split the pie more. Okay, if we bring in a Power 5, we're just adding $20 million, and we split the pie more. You would never, ever expand again. So you got to think of it as the baseline. That's the start. That's the encouragement for the Big 12 to go after Power 5 teams and not Group of 5 teams. So what could happen is ESPN maybe bumps up the incentive here. They're like, all right, we'll guarantee an extra, I don't know, $5 million per team. That's still way, way cheaper than what we were going to have to shell out to the Pac-12 to keep Pac-12 After Dark. Way, way cheaper. So then you're looking at an even better negotiation for, Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado. What if that's what's going down? Why did I not think of that? Maybe ESPN is chiming in. They're like, all right, we're pulling out of the Pac-12, and we're willing to donate a little bit. Well, not donate, but spend a little bit more for the Big 12 to get more teams. It's still, way less than what we'd have to spend if we were a share member of the Pac-12, and we still get that content After Dark, because that's the goal here for ESPN. The goal is to get that After Dark content for as cheap as possible. That is the only reason that the ESPN wants the Pac-12. That's the only reason. The only reason that ESPN wants the Pac-12 is because of that Pac-12 After Dark slot. Well, if you can get those teams to jump elsewhere where you already have a deal, yes, you might have to contribute a little bit more, but you're still getting them at a discount rate. You're still making money. You're still filling that slot, and you're saving yourself millions and millions of dollars in a time where you're in a financial crisis. So, yes, I guarantee you that ESPN is encouraging the Big 12. Hey, man, listen, we pulled the deal, all right? So you absolutely have no competition from the Pac-12 when it comes to us. We pulled it. We are not involved in the Pac-12 anymore, and but we still need that content. So, yes, we need you to strongly encourage these teams to come on in to the Big 12. That way we can have our content. So it's like you scratch our back and we'll scratch your back type of deal. And I guarantee you those conversations could be happening, especially since we found out that ESPN has pulled out of the deal completely. At first, remember, this kind of happened in waves. At first, we heard that ESPN is going to lowball the Pac-12, but they will offer. Then the next thing we heard was, it's not even close. We're not close to a deal. And then the next thing was they pulled it. There's no deal. This is absolutely crazy. And you could literally see the levels of concern or desperation in the president of University of Arizona. He started out in the beginning with, there's a lot of disinformation, for instance, that Arizona is going to the Big 12. We're not going to the Big 12. He said this was months ago. We want to see what the deal is here. in the Pac-12 because we are all, including Arizona State, and all the other schools, want to keep the Conference of Champions together. That's strong. He's like, we want to see this deal. We have confidence. We're not going to the Big 12. We have to see this deal first. All right? Time moves on. We're locking arms, waiting for the commissioner to do the best he can do, to get us the best media deal. Still have confidence, but it's getting a little shaky. I put it at greater than 95% chance we're going to get a great deal. Not greater than 95% chance that we're going to stay, but that we're going to get a great deal. He's kind of shifting the focus on Arizona staying or leaving. He is putting the spotlight on this deal. Notice that he is putting the blame 100% on this deal. He's saying Arizona wants to stay in the Pac-12, but it's up to this deal. We have confidence that George Kliavkoff will get us this deal. He even backs George Kliavkoff a little bit, but he makes sure to have that spotlight on the TV deal and off of Arizona. He wants to make sure that people know the TV deal is what will decide this. We have not made a decision to jump to the Big 12. We want to see this TV deal. Says, but then it gets stronger as time goes on. Because then after that, he says, it's heavily dependent on Commissioner George Kliavkoff and his negotiating team to get a good media deal for us to stay together. The language gets stronger and stronger and stronger. It went from the Pac-12 is united. We're good. We're not leaving. We're going to see this deal. It's going to be a deal. Then it goes from we're waiting. Then it goes to, we're waiting on the commissioner. We have confidence. There's only like a 5% chance of us leaving, or a 5% chance of there not being a good deal. But that's still 5%. He didn't say 1% or 100%. He said 95%, which means 5% chance of leaving, not 0. And then it goes on to heavily dependent. Still think we're going to get a good TV deal. And then he revealed that Arizona has been talking to the Big 12, because then he says, I tell Brett all the time, Brett Yormark, I tell Brett all the time, and I've got really good friends over the years who are presidents now in the Big 12 schools. I love you guys, but if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't expect any of you to leave the Big 12. But it's what he says after that, okay? I wouldn't expect any of you to leave the Big 12 if you didn't know what deal you were getting there. That's what he's saying. So what I'm seeing is the Big 12 has been putting pressure on Arizona. And the president's like, we're not making a decision now. If the roles were reversed and you didn't know what the deal looked like, you wouldn't decide to leave. But he's not saying we're staying, period. He's still keeping the focus on the TV deal. It's crazy to see this evolve. And he goes on to say this. When asked about the Pac-12's potential demise, it gets a little bit stronger. We've got to see what deal we're getting, and then I'll be able to make an informed decision. In other words, Arizona hasn't decided either way whether to go to the Big 12 or to stay in the Pac-12 yet. It's up to the TV deal. We've got to see what deal we're getting, and then I'll be able to make an informed decision. And then a little bit of hyperbole after that. Until then, it's all speculation and people fear-mongering and saying you don't want to be the last because there might not be a seat for you. Well, I'm not buying that. I haven't seen anybody else jump and run. Hello, USC and UCLA. It'd be a problem if enough people did, obviously. And that's what Brett and the Big 12 are banking on. If you can get Arizona and Colorado to say yes, then the whole Pac-12, what's left of it, blows up. Like I mentioned before, it didn't say, if you get 4 teams, or if you get half the league, or if you get a quarter of the league. He said, if you get Arizona and Colorado, that is, yeah. He knows. Bonehead, that's what we're talking about. we're talking about the meeting yesterday, and I'm discussing what Arizona athletic director, or president, excuse me. I'm guessing you haven't watched since the beginning. I'm always having to explain things to you because you're behind. Basically, I'm describing the attitude of the Arizona president leading up to the meeting yesterday. And what we're hearing from the meeting yesterday is it's all bad news because ESPN has officially pulled their deal because reports are saying the ESPN deal is now off the table for the Pac-12, so Apple may be the Pac-12's last hope. So that's why I was saying what I said, because I was about to explain what went down in the meeting yesterday. And if you know his attitude going into the meeting, maybe that tells you what decision they're going to make. So going into this meeting, the reason that I went through that entire conversation with Robbins, the president of the University of Arizona, and how it got worse and worse and worse as far as this conversation. So heading in, he made it clear that they weren't going to leave until they knew the deal. And then they were going to make an informed decision, right? Well, from what we're hearing, ESPN has pulled out. The deal is bad. So now what? Now that we know that his attitude going in was, this is all about the deal. We have not decided to stay in the Pac-12 like a lot of people are saying. We have been talking to the Big 12 like a lot of people have been saying. And now that this is a bad deal, it kind of rolls in the direction of, well, since he said it's based on the deal and we're hearing that it's a bad deal, Arizona could be jumping sooner rather than later. Arturo Balderas, thank you for the generous $19.99 donation. Appreciate it, buddy. Says, with all the moves Brett Yormark is making, how could the Four Corners and Washington and Oregon not want to join the Big 12 conference? Excuse me. Let me read that again because I combined the two sentences. With all the moves Brett Yormark is making, how could the Four Corners and Washington and Oregon not want to join the Big 12? Conference-wide pro day, sports betting, and now the Rucker. Big W's. Yeah, he's using his connections that he made whenever he was the owner over there of the Brooklyn Nets because of the deal he made with Rutgers Park. And that's why I made the video earlier about how now he could be setting up the Big 12 to expand east in the future. We have to realize this guy is, man, he's a business savant. He is thinking 5 steps ahead of everybody. So, yes, right now he's trying to get, brands from the west side, from the Pac-12, because he wants that fourth time zone. But at the same time, now he's laying the foundation for the Big 12 to expand east. And like I said in the video, this isn't just narrowed to the ACC the ACC teams that I've been mentioning, because we know that the ACC, it's on shaky ground as well. We've heard from the Florida State Athletic Director. We've heard from the Clemson Athletic Director. We've heard from the Miami Hurricanes Athletic Director and the North Carolina Athletic Director. They're all not happy. And I expect more athletic directors to pile on top of that. And what have I been saying? I'm expecting for that majority number of teams to come together and to get those grant of rights dissolved, and then anybody can go anywhere. And then the Big 12, they already have presence on the East Coast with West Virginia, Cincinnati, and UCF. But you grab the TV market or a presence in the number one TV market, New York City, man, your value just went through the roof. Establishing a presence in the number one TV market in the entire United States, that is setting yourself up for success. He is laying the foundation to make the Big 12 as attractive as possible for these East Coast teams. Because as much as it will help the Big 12 to get those West Coast teams, because he wants that fourth time zone, the East Coast teams are more valuable because, and I've said it many, many times, 80% of the American population that watches college sports, 80% of that on the east side of the United States. So if you can get brands and their fan bases on the east side of the United States, and plus the general public will be more interested in watching the games, then boom, they're going to be interested in joining your conference. And, oh yeah, it doesn't hurt that the Pac-12's TV deal is looking bad from this meeting that we're talking about, and the ACC is a bit shaky. Now, do I think that the Big 12 could grab a Clemson? No. Florida State? No. North Carolina? No. Virginia? No. Not even a Georgia Tech. I think the brands that the Big 12 could end up getting if the ACC does end up falling apart would be your Pitt. That's a great rivalry with West Virginia, the backyard brawl. A Virginia Tech, but it depends on what happens with the SEC. If the SEC grabs Virginia Tech instead of Virginia, then you might be looking at NC State. But let's say things go the Big 12's way and they get Virginia Tech. So now you have the Black Diamond Trophy rivalry as well with West Virginia, Virginia Tech, the backyard brawl with Pitt, West Virginia, and oh yeah, Pitt and Virginia Tech, they're pretty good rivals as well. Then two more brands, Louisville, which this is a diamond in the rough. The Big Ten not interested in Louisville at all. They don't have AU status, and their academics not good. They're kind of like West Virginia level. So no chance for the Big Ten. What about the SEC? Well, they already have Kentucky, and the SEC, they want they're probably going to get Miami Hurricanes, Clemson, I'm going to say North Carolina, and Virginia. So Louisville will be off the menu. That's great for the Big 12. They could grab Louisville, and Louisville was number 4 in the TV ratings over the past 8 years. Number 4. There was only 4 teams that averaged 2 million views per game over the last 8 years, and that was Clemson. No, wrong order. Excuse me. Florida State, Clemson. Was it Syracuse? Who was number? No, Miami Hurricanes was number 3, and then Louisville was number 4. So, and then Syracuse is the last brand. They have one of the biggest, no, they have the biggest fan base in the ACC if you're not counting Notre Dame. Their TV viewership was like number 6, so it was still in the upper half. And that's with a terrible football team. So what if Syracuse, Syracuse is a brand of potential because they have the largest fan base in the ACC, but they've been terrible. So their viewership, not great. The fan base, not that interested, okay? Let's say they go over to the Big 12 and they start having success. You're going to have access to a very, very large fan base in the New York TV market. And I don't know how this works as far as the science of it, but I've done the research. I've talked to people. The viewership on the TV sets, boxes, whatever you want to call them, households in the state of North Carolina are actually worth more than any other team except for Los Angeles. And that's why the Big Ten got USC and UCLA. That captured the number 2 TV market with LA, and of course TV sets, households, whatever you want to call it in LA, worth a lot more. So you're getting number 2 TV market and the worth more than anybody. I mean that you had to get them. That was a must get. But for Syracuse, they have value in that way. Massive, massive fan base, and the value of their household as far as viewership goes, one of the best in the nation. Could make a ton of money for the Big 12, especially if Syracuse got really good. Imagine Syracuse competing for a Big 12 championship. Yeah, Syracuse fans would be packing out the dome, and they'd be watching all over the state of New York. So Syracuse, I think, can be valuable to the Big 12. And on top of that, they already have the rivalry with Pitt, the rivalry with Virginia Tech. They would be renewing the rivalry with West Virginia. And, oh, yeah, the rivalry with Louisville. And Louisville has basically rivalries with everybody. You'd have a pocket of 5 teams with intense rivalries with each other. It would be a nice pocket of rivalries right there. And it's like cha-ching signs right there. And then you add on the fact that Virginia Tech is top half of the ACC in viewership. I think they were number 5, and that was with them being shaky. Syracuse, the biggest fan base, they were top 6. That was with them being shaky. Louisville top 4, averaging over 2 million a game, and that's with them being okay, I guess. Not terrible, but okay. Only one of 4 teams that average 2 million a game. That's some value right there. And then there's Pitt, who's kind of right in the middle. They don't have great ratings, but they bring value because they give you all of the TV sets in the city of Pittsburgh because you already have West Virginia. This is something that people don't realize. When it comes to the city of Pittsburgh, you're not grabbing the entire market, the TV market, as far as college football goes, if you get Pitt. You need Pitt and West Virginia. So the Big 12 already has a chunk of the city of Pittsburgh. You add in Pitt, who actually represents Pittsburgh, and that gives you the rest of it. So that gives you that you're locking it down. The Big 12 would lock down the viewership of the city of Pittsburgh if they bring in Pitt as well. You already have Virginia, which is a big chunk. You bring in Pitt and the Backyard Brawl. That's going to give you ratings all over the place. Last year, I went to the Backyard Brawl. Guess who was there? Brett Yormark. And he saw the draw of the Backyard Brawl. He saw it. He was there. They set a record. They set a record for an outdoor event, almost 70,000. Almost 70,000. They had never, ever had that many fans at Heinz Field. And that was the largest crowd ever for an outdoor event in the city of Pittsburgh. And I was a part of history when they set a record. And it was amazing. And West Virginia has missed that for a long time. And it would be amazing, amazing if the Big 12 could lock that down. All right, let me read this one more time because I really appreciate the donation. So I'm going to reward that by leaving it on as long as possible. And we're going to read it one more time, all right? Arturo Balderas, great donation, 1999, says, with all the moves Brett Yormark is making, how could the Four Corners and Washington and Oregon not want to join the Big 12? Conference-wide pro day, sports betting, and now the Rucker. Big W's. I agree, especially with the Four Corners. Not sure about Oregon and Washington. They're valuable in and of itself, but I get what you're saying. The Big 12 is setting themselves up to be as valuable as possible to anybody that's looking at them. Hey, we're setting up direct pipelines to all the pro sports avenue. You're gonna have the eyeballs guaranteed of the NFL and whatever sports, the NBA. I don't know if they're going to set up something for baseball, the MLB, but definitely the NFL and the NBA. So that's these student athletes are going to be, well, we're going to have the direct, if we go there and they're going to have exhibitions and a conference-wide pro day, they're going to actually see us. Sign me up. Sign me up. If it comes down to a Big 12 team and an ACC team, I'm going to the Big 12 because I'm going to get more exposure. Or Big 12, Pac 12, definitely the Big 12. Their TV deal is terrible. I don't even know how many people are going to be able to watch me on TV. And then on top of that, more exposure for the conference-wide pro day. So that helps with recruiting. That helps with the brand value. I agree with you. I just think that Washington and Oregon are still not going to be willing to jump on board the Big 12. I think it's Big 10 or stay in the Pac-12. We'll see. We'll see. You could be right. Swabby Guns, thank you for the $2 donation. Says, great show, GBD. Good night, all. Hate to see you go, buddy, but we completely understand. Can't stay here forever, especially when I just keep yapping. I do. I'm very long-winded. I do keep yapping, so I definitely understand it. But let me find that again, and I'm going to put this up until another super chat comes through because we just like to show appreciation as far as whenever somebody supports the channel with the super chat. This is a very generous super chat, and we greatly appreciate it. So I'm going to leave it on here until the next super chat comes on. By the way, if you stumbled onto this channel and you're not subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button because we are marching our way to 15,000 subscribers. We're going to try to get there. I think we can get there by the end of April at this rate. We're doing really, really good. So help us get to 15,000 by June. And our goal is 20,000 by the end of the year. But if we can keep the momentum going, we can actually smash 20,000 and go beyond that. But right now, we're going to stick with 20,000. That's our goal. Help us get there. At last count, we were at 13,480. So we just hit 13,000. What, like a week and a half ago, a week ago, something like that. So we've been gaining subscribers left and right. So we greatly appreciate if you supported the channel. Greatly, greatly, greatly. And don't forget to hit the like button. Even if you're watching a replay of this and you weren't able to catch the live, hit the like button. That's what helps these get the most views. So, and I do, don't take this as Big 12 homerism because I've actually made several videos where I expressed how unhappy as far as the fit that West Virginia is in the Big 12. I don't have anything against the Big 12 as a conference. I think it's a good conference. I now think that the Big 12 has one of the best commissioners in all of in the entire nation. I do. I just don't like how West Virginia fits into the Big 12. But I agree with Arturo. Excuse me, Arturo. I do agree. The moves people are watching. The moves that Brett Yormark right now is making is getting the attention not just of the teams that he's trying to get out of the Pac-12 right now, but he probably has the attention that the teams the Big 12 might be targeting in the future. So we know that they want to move out west, and I think they're going to land at least Arizona and Colorado. At least they could land all four corners, but we have heard that Utah and Arizona State they're holding firm. They're going to say no. But Arizona and Colorado, I do think that they jump. All right, so they get Arizona and Colorado, and at least with Arizona, you do get the Pacific time zone through November because they don't have daylight savings time, right? So then you turn east, and with the partnership with Rutgers Park and having a conference-wide pro day, just like Arturo is saying, sports betting in the Big 12 is legal as well. You're just attracting a lot of attention and laying the foundation to where if you want to make moves in the future, it's going to be a lot easier. So he's making decisions for moves now, and he's also making decisions for moves later. So that's what's great about Brett Yormark. Brett Yormark was a home run hire for the Big 12 as far as the commissioner goes. And here's the thing. It would not surprise me. Think about this. And Big 12 fans might actually gasp at this thought because it could be happening. I think Brett Yormark has done such a fantastic job at the Big 12 that the Big Ten might be interested in Brett Yormark. Son of a yes, takes 8 votes to blow up the ACC. And so far, we've heard 4 teams vocal. All it takes is 4 more. And I think the other 4 would be the Miami Hurricanes, Georgia Tech, and the other 2 that's promised a spot, maybe Virginia or NC State or Virginia Tech. Whoever's promised a spot in the Big Ten and the SEC, those will be the teams that vote to dissolve. And then, even though the Big 12 is getting the leftovers, those leftovers specifically would benefit the Big 12. So even though they're leftovers for the Big Ten and the SEC, well, for the Big 12, they work just fine. Sonny B, yes, Notre Dame also has a nuke vote. So actually, if Notre Dame wants to vote, hey, we need to dissolve, then they might actually be up to 5. I think we're going to start hearing other ACC athletic directors come out to say, hey, we want unequal revenue share as well. This discrepancy in revenue is ridiculous. We're worth more than that. Maybe we're not worth as much as Clemson and Florida State, but we're certainly worth more than what we're getting paid now. And that's just that. Unequal revenue share is always a bad sign. And that's why, Washington and Oregon expressing that they would be interested in unequal revenue share because they are by far the best brands. Make no mistake about it, and I've said this 100 times. I've said it 100 times. When it comes to brands versus brands, the Pac-12 has the best brands in Oregon and Washington. There is no brand in the new Big 12 that can touch Oregon and Washington. Now, as far as overall, I think it's about equal. The Big 12 might actually be a little bit better. So the Big 12 is deeper than the Pac-12, but because the Pac-12 has Oregon and Washington, they do have 2 premier brands, and the Big 12 doesn't. And, maybe that's what George Kliavkoff was thinking. Hey, if the Big 12 can get that deal, well, we still have Oregon and Washington. Surely we can get a better deal than that. And, of course, his arrogance has cost him. Maybe they can pull this out. I don't know. But from what I'm hearing, that meeting that went down yesterday did not go well. I'm hearing mixed results. Okay, I'm hearing that the numbers weren't talked about, which I actually don't believe because I think that was the whole point of the meeting, right? And then I'm hearing that the numbers were 100% presented. That was by Jason Shear. Let's see what he said. He said, where did it go? Dadgummit. All right. Oh, Jason Shear said, and this was about the meeting that happened yesterday. Pac-12 presidents have 100% been presented with the numbers, and they aren't close. They're not even close to good enough. So the numbers were shown, and they weren't good enough. And it also says linear cable games, a problem with Apple being the primary buyer. And then we find out today that ESPN has actually pulled the deal. We heard a statement from Schwab Show, excuse me. The ESPN deal is now off the table for the Pac-12, so Apple may be the Pac-12's last hope. What did we see there from two different sources of the same thing? Apple. Apple's the last hope. Linear cable's a problem. Why? Because ESPN has pulled the deal. Yes, ESPN has officially pulled their offer. That's what I'm hearing from multiple sources. So if that's true, and it looks like it is because multiple people are saying it now, it's no more speculation when it comes to Pac-12. What that means is the Pac-12 is looking at a streaming-only deal. And it's funny. I stated this earlier in the video, but I need to state it one more time. I think it's funny that the day that it comes out that ESPN is no longer a part of the deal, then people start saying, well, now Fox is interested. Wait, what? Fox pulled out a long time ago, months and months ago. They are focused on the Big X and Big XII. But on the same exact day that we hear that ESPN says, nope, we're done. You rejected our low offer, but that's the best we can do. We're not doing any better, and now we're pulling it. Just so happens on the same exact day, Fox is interested. Well, Jason Shear has something to say about that. Sources tell me there's currently no sub-license talk between Fox and Apple or Amazon. Fox is not interested. Not at all. And like I mentioned earlier in this video, the silence from George Kliavkoff is deafening. It is deafening. He is leaving the responsibility of the voice of the Pac-12 and the representation of the Pac-12 to the presidents and the board of regents and the athletic directors. And that's all fine and well whenever things are good. A good commissioner, whenever things are good, yeah, leave it up to your presidents and athletic directors and board of regents to brag and tout your conference. That's actually a good idea. But whenever the conference is not looking good and the decisions are looking like bad decisions, to leave the responsibility and the representation and the voice of your conference. I feel bad for these Pac-12 presidents and athletic directors and the board of regents. I truly feel bad for them because George Kliavkoff isn't owning up to anything. He is not owning up to a daggum thing. Nothing. And he's leaving it up to all the people of the actual Pac-12 teams to come out and say, we have faith in George Kliavkoff. We'll see the numbers. He's saying he's going to get us a good deal. And we have faith in him, and we're not going to leave. We have to see the deal. And we saw the attitude of the president of University of Arizona go down and down. As the days went on, it went down and down. And leading into that meeting yesterday, he made it 100% crystal clear the decision of Arizona will be based on the deal. We've got to see what the deal we're getting, and then I'll be able to make an informed decision. That's all you need to know. And what we're hearing is that the deal is bad and that ESPN has pulled out. So what are we going to hear next? And think about this. Every time I talk to anybody that's associated with the Pac-12 or backing the Pac-12 or affiliated with the Pac-12, they have given me date after date after date after date after. I'm talking 8, 9 times. I'm not joking. 8, 9 times. Well, expect an announcement on January, we'll say 21st. Well, expect an announcement on February the 5th. Well, expect an announcement on February the 16th. Well, expect an announcement on March 1st. Well, expect an announcement. And it just went on and on and on. And I'm like, my gosh, when are we going to hear from George Kliavkoff? Clint Moses, I understand your conference pride, back to PAC, but I would be hashtagging back the Beavers. That, since you're an Oregon State fan, you need to be concerned with the best possible decision that Oregon State makes. Hashtag back the Beavers, not hashtag back the PAC, because who knows what's going to happen with the Pac-12. If the best decision for Oregon State is to remain in the Pac-12, then absolutely, that's the decision you need to make. But if the best decision is to go to the Big 12, then that's the decision you need to make. So you need to be backing your team and hoping that your team makes the right decision. I would say back the Beavers. And I have a fondness for Oregon State. Oregon State, I've always liked Oregon State just like I've always liked Washington State, because they're kind of like West Virginia, where they're not good all the time, but every once in a while they have a special year. And it takes, all the stars to line up a decent schedule, winnable schedule, and then something good can happen. So I've always liked Oregon State, but I'm saying this out of concern, buddy. I'm saying this out of concern. Don't back the PAC into the ocean or into the fire, and Oregon State in general. I'm not trying to get personal. I'm saying Oregon State in general. I'm hoping that Oregon State doesn't back the PAC to the point to where the PAC actually starts sinking, and they're still backing them, and they go down with the Pac-12 ship. That's what I'm concerned. When I see messages like that, I do get concerned that maybe some of these universities are going to back the PAC into oblivion. That's not good. I don't want that. I don't want that. Hey, if the best decision is to join the ACC, do it. I'm not all about the Big 12. I've stated several times, I think West Virginia is a terrible fit in the Big 12. I'm hoping that we can add on the east side. This is the travel has been horrendous. Our schedule makes no sense most of the time. We need help in the Big 12. So I am not a conference homer, and I'm with the conference not named the Big Ten and the SEC. It is dangerous to back that conference. I would say that to ACC teams. I would say that to Big 12 teams, because you never know. I'm not saying back to Big 12. I'm not a conference homer at all. That's never made any sense to me. I'm like, hopefully this works out for West Virginia. Hopefully the Big 12 does do well, and we can remain in the Big 12 and continue to make money and have success. But the moment the Big 12 starts looking bad, like West Virginia needs to be looking around. That's why whenever the Big 12 lost Oklahoma and Texas, I'm like, talk to the ACC now. We are not going down with this Big 12 ship. Fortunately, Bob Bowlesby went out and got the 4 brands, and we stabilized. And now it looks like Brett Yormark is trying to make some great moves. You have to do what's in the best interest of your team. Team first. Team first, not conference first. That makes no sense. Team first. Whatever's best for your team. Whatever's best for your university. Whatever's best for your alma mater if you went there. Whatever's best for your program, not your conference. The Pac-12 needs the teams more than the teams need the Pac-12 right now. I'll tell you that right now. The Pac-12 needs the team. George Kliavkoff, we'll put it that way. George Kliavkoff needs the teams of the Pac-12 more than the teams of the Pac-12 needs George Kliavkoff. You guys are going to follow this guy right into the fire. I'm telling you right now, unless they can get this turned around, all I'm saying is be flexible with your thinking. Don't be like, it's PAC or nothing. Back to PAC, there's no other option. There is other options. And if you don't look around and you get tunnel vision and the Pac-12 starts sinking, you're going to sink with it. And I don't want that to happen. I really don't. I don't. Clint Moses, I have addressed that several times, man. I'm going to put that. You think you're being cute with that because the Pac-12 is in trouble. When OU, Texas left to the SEC, oh, better make fake WACC, SEC vids. You know, dude, I thought you were better than that, man. I thought you were better than that. And I have owned up to that, by the way. If y'all don't know what he's talking about, I sort of explained it a minute ago. Whenever Oklahoma and Texas left for the SEC, I had sources that were on coaching staff within the ACC. Joey knows their exact names, by the way. And they were telling me, yes, the ACC is going to bring in West Virginia and Notre Dame. And this is why I have told people, beware. Even if you think your source is top-notch, 100%, there is no such thing as a sure thing. Because it's still biting me right now. Clint Moses just posted a comment getting me because I did it. I can't go back and erase it. So what did I do? I made videos about the ACC bringing in West Virginia and Notre Dame. They even gave me a timetable. So I laid out a timetable. Well, guess what? 2 weeks came, 2 weeks went. Nothing happened. 1 month came, 1 month went. Nothing happened. 3 months came, 3 months went. Nothing happened. 6 months came and 6 months went. Nothing happened. And I learned from that experience, I am not doing a prediction video when it comes to conference realignment. Because I don't care how good the source is, there's no such thing as a sure thing. The reason that I got mad at you, Clint Moses, is because you used the word fake. You know better than that. Mistake? Yes. Messed up? Yes. But you know that I'm not fake. That's what disappointed me about that comment. You know that. Anyways, I really do hope that the Pac-12 survives this. But if we go by what we're seeing on a daily basis, it doesn't look good. Can George Kliavkoff pull it out of the fire? Absolutely. He could. I mean, it's possible. That's an option. But just seeing the direction that this is heading, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So we'll see if the Pac-12 survives. My point is, if they don't, if they don't, I'm just hoping that these Pac-12 brands make the right decision. That was my point in all that. My point isn't down with the Pac-12. No, I'm not wanting the Pac-12 to go down. I'm not even fond of the idea of the Big 12 adding Pac-12 teams. That hurts our traveling even more. I'm not fond of that idea. I don't like that idea. Okay? But the point of this is, if the Pac-12 starts, really looking bad, and it looks like it might be, then these teams, I'm just hoping that because I don't want these teams in the Pac-12 to fall into irrelevancy. Oregon State just got its program back. I mean, y'all had a great season, a double-digit win season. What happens if the Pac-12 can't pull out a good deal and you're making chump change? Are you still going to say back the Pac then? You don't want that. You don't want that for your university and for your school. You don't want that, all right? Be careful with that. John Teal, thank you for the $5 donation, says, how things are going when you say you don't want the Pac to sink. It feels like a shotgun is pressed at my ear. Seems like I better take the deal. That was actually pretty funny. Well, I mean, nobody can force these teams what to do. I'm just saying, I hope they do what's best for them. Whatever's best for their, whether it's Oregon State, whether it's Washington State, Washington, Oregon, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, Cal, Stanford, whatever's best for the universities, just do what's best for it. That's why, whenever I see hashtag back the Pac, it's not because I want the Pac-12 to go under. It's just like, man, I'm hoping that university doesn't follow the PAC to the point to where they follow them into the fire. It's out of concern, actually. It's out of concern. So, if the PAC survives, then absolutely. If that's the right decision, absolutely. But if the Pac-12 starts going down, and it's not the best decision, don't do it. Don't let loyalty make you sink with the ship. That's all I'm saying, guys. That's all I'm saying. Don't let loyalty make you sink with the ship. That's it, guys. All right, we're going to wrap it up, guys. Got to do the whole school ordeal and get up early for all that stuff. But shout out to everybody that stopped by for the live show. I'm telling you, like, our live shows have really taken off. Like, it used to be, you can ask Joey, our live shows would barely average 40, 50 people watching, and we easily hit 100 every time now. We're averaging between 150 and 200 watching at any given time. So I really, guys, seriously, I'm being serious right now, okay? I really appreciate the support, guys. It means a lot to me. It's taken a while to get to this point. 3.5 years of a lot of work. Definitely 2.5 years of everyday videos. The first year of it, I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. Then the videos every day actually started off a dare. My brothers were like, you can't do this every day. I'm like, watch me. If ESPN can do it every day, I can do it every day. And that's what started that. And so it's been at least one video every single day for 2.5 years. The only time that I missed a day was whenever I had the stomach bug. I even did videos whenever I had COVID. Whenever I had COVID, I still put out videos. I had to do like 3-minute takes and take a break, and then another, and then put it together. But I still did it with the COVID. Now, with the stomach bug, I couldn't even get out of the bed. So I missed like 2 days because of the stomach bug. But other than that, videos every day. So it's been a lot of hard work. And I'm very thankful that you guys enjoy the content. You enjoy what I do, and you support it. I really do, guys. It's been a blessing. You guys are a blessing, and I really appreciate it. There is no Gold and Blue without you guys. So hopefully you guys keep liking it. It's one thing to get a subscriber. It's another thing to keep a subscriber. So hopefully you guys continue to enjoy, and you continue to watch and stay a subscriber, because can't do it without you guys. We cannot do it without you. I had a good time. Hopefully you had a good time. Were you not entertained? That is the whole point of this, right? Were you not entertained? Because that's what I do here. Arturo Barderas, another good donation. Appreciate the 99 super chat. Says, do you think CFB will ever have a playoff like the NIT? Whoa. Holy crap, man. Yes. And the best way that I can compare that to is group of 5 playoff. That would be your NIT. So before I get off here, I have to touch on this. And that is a great video idea. I'm actually going to, give me a second. There we go. Screenshot. I got to do that. That is amazing, dude. That's a great video idea. So what I mean by that is, so with playoff expansion, yes, there is one spot designated for the group of 5. One. Because the top 6 champions, and there's only 5 Power 5, right? So with 6, that means one group of 5 champion. So there is one spot designated for them. But I do think, and I've been saying this for a long, long time, the group of 5 conferences need to create their own playoffs and national championship. I know they're considered FBS with the Power 5, but listen, the FCS and literally every other division you can think of, they have their own playoffs and national championship. And yes, Cincinnati made it one time, but that's it. And with expansion, there's a chance that one team, the biggest champion, can make it every year. So I would put a stipulation in there that if the best group of 5 champ wants that bid, they can take it. No problem. And they'll just situate the group of 5 champion, whatever you want to call it, that division, without them. Then it goes just the best of the rest, right? But if they're like, we know we don't have a chance in this playoffs, we're going to opt out and play in these playoffs where we can win the national championship, in our opinion. and then the playoffs can be like, all right, we'll just fill that spot with an extra auto bid. So, yeah, that's a great idea. And the best comparison that I can make is for the Group of 5 conferences to come up with the playoffs and national championship. And I've been saying that for a while, man. Didn't think of it that way, though. I did not think of it that way. That's pretty smart, man. It's pretty smart. I think I've done a video on that, but I can do it a different way with the reference, especially now that it's March Madness. Like that could hit pretty hard because you're referencing March Madness, NIT, all that stuff, but still using it as football content. So I like the idea. I'm going to use that idea. By the way, if y'all didn't see earlier, today we got the Auburn helmet, so we're up to 76. I know that somebody is sending an Iowa mini helmet. I don't know when I'm going to get that, so I'm expecting that. And then we got the funds secured, so we will start buying the wood to extend the shelf. And yes, we will correct that bow. Listen, that's what happens when you buy cheap shelving. That stuff was cheap. That's what happens. So all we have to do is take that stuff off and get the more sturdy ones. And we're going to put a back on everything, so you're not going to be able to see through it. I think that's a bit tacky. So it's going to look like an actual stadium shelving unit. And trust me, I've done my research. There is no one that has a stadium shelving display. You will only see that here at Golden Blue. So at least I got that going for me, and I think it looks pretty cool. And I think when we're done, it's going to look amazing. So we're going to get to work on that. We secured the funds, and we're going to buy the material, and we're going to get to work on that. And I think it's going to look, good, guys. I really do. Anyways, thank you for the 99 donation, Arturo Bardesh. You're a great supporter of Golden Blue. Anyways, guys, I got to wrap this up. Hopefully you had a good time. I had a great time. We got to get up early and do the whole school routine. But we will be here back tomorrow. Okay? But listen, I'm going to be doing Mark Rogers' live show at 8 p.m. and I'm going to be simulcasting. So instead of starting at 10 p.m., we're going to be starting at 8. Well, we might start at 9 p.m. That's a little flexible. It might be 9 p.m. I think 8 p.m. is a little bit earlier. So we'll be simulcasting on this channel, Mark Rogers, and the West Virginia Voice of College Football as well. So it's going to be a good live show and lots of stuff to talk about as well. And you guys got a sneak peek into a video that doesn't even come out till tomorrow. That's what happens when you watch a live show. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Shout out to everybody that stopped by. Hit the like button, comment section, and of course the super chat. Appreciate those donations. But as of right now, Thursday night, Golden Blue is out.